All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Sports Dép Podcast. My name is Joey Alfieri with Simon Tsalikis. Simon, what's going on, man? Simon?
See that helmet, Joey?
I see that helmet, Tsalikis. I see it. For the people listening, it is a white Chicago Bears helmet. Simon, congratulations are due because yesterday the Chicago Bears clinched a playoff spot for the first time in
5 years.
It's not too long. Yeah, it's 5 years. It's not the end of the world, but
Feels like forever.
you know, it's just funny. Like we'll talk about this maybe on Thursday, but actually, I don't even know if we'll do Thursday's Christmas, so we may not even have an NFL podcast this week.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: like things change quick in the NFL. I'll say that. Like last year was, oh my God, how did they pass on Jaden Daniels? And then this year, it's wow, Caleb Williams can sling it. The throw in overtime was incredibly impressive. That throw to DJ Moore was ridiculous.
Into the wind and all that, it's crazy. And you look at the Lions lost again today, man. It's the league is ridiculous. Top of the food chain one day and chasing a playoff spot the year after. It's crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah, and speaking of chasing playoff spots, right now Canadiens in a decent position here. One game left to go before the holiday break. They've got a game against the Boston Bruins. Is this the first Boston-Montreal?
No, I'm pretty certain I
first,
remember
right?
a Bruins
one, right?
A Bruins 3-2 victory.
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
That.
I'm mixing up my years.
They played before this year.
Yeah, I think they might have played in November. Anyway, Montreal, Boston heading into the holiday break. But the Canadiens take 3 out of 4 points from the Pittsburgh Penguins. It was an eventful weekend. They made a trade that we talked about ages ago. And I came close, Simon. I came freaking close because when we talked about it, I said a second and a prospect, like a mid-level prospect. And they didn't get the mid-level prospect, but they did give up the Columbus second-round pick that they got in the Patrick Laine trade to get Philip Danault. So I guess maybe we'll start there, and then we'll go into the weekend matchup against Pittsburgh. But overall, I know you didn't like it. You didn't think it was a sexy move when we talked about it 3 weeks ago. Have you had a chance to maybe peel back the onion and figure it out a little bit more?
I think so. Look, I think you're getting a little bit more offense from Josh Anderson now. Owen Beck's come into the lineup. He scored a couple of goals. Only one has counted. But you're just seeing a little bit more offense from the bottom six, which was my concern if they go and make the Philip Danault acquisition. The struggle for him offensively this year is for real. But you know what, Joey? A second-round pick, I think you're better in the penalty killing. I think you're better in the dot. And the most important thing is for a minute here or there, 90 seconds here or there, the heavy lifting is off Nick Suzuki. It's you want to go out there against the Tkachuk line, the Kucherov line, the Matthews line. If it ever gets going again, you can throw Philip Danault out there, and it sounds silly, but rest Nick Suzuki for a little bit of offense when it gets to with 7-8 minutes left in the third period. So I think from that standpoint, as critical as I was, I don't think I was overly critical, but as concerned as I was about not getting that offense, I think it's going to work out. And was it Jake Evans who played a minute and 15 seconds or 17 seconds on Saturday night, did not travel with the Canadiens on Sunday? That deal looks much greater than it did when it was first announced.
Yeah, the timing, wasn't bad. You make the trade and then the next game, Jake Evans goes down. So, it sounds like Philip Danault was in Montreal and is going to travel to Boston and play for the Canadiens on Tuesday night. But yeah, I liked it at the time. I told you I would have made the move at the time, and good on them. And look, worst comes to worst, Simon, he actually is done, which I don't think he is. But worst comes to worst, he actually is done offensively, and they've got a year and a half to burn of this. And he's not the fleetest of foot he was never to begin with, but I think it's worth the risk. And look, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was many teams that inquired. The center market is dry, man. It's dry. And the Canadiens pulled it off before the holiday freeze. Clearly, the guy wanted to come back home, wanted to move ASAP. And Kent Hughes made it happen. It cost a second-round pick. Look, I know Lane Hudson was a second-round pick, but you're talking about a person who's not going to probably be in the NHL until 2032 at the earliest. So I'm not there yet. I'm not going to wrap my mind around a pick in 2032. And hey, listen, I hope it ends up being a home run for the Kings. But by then, who knows? But I really think that this is a move That's going to help. That's going to help the Canadiens. I think it helps Kapanen too. I mean, you talked about Suzuki and you drew the obvious parallels, but depending, I think they put the Jake Evans on IR.
Yes.
So I think he's got to miss at least a week. So we'll see how severe it is, how serious it is. But to me, even if Phil Danault is around guys like Oliver Kapanen and Owen Beck, those guys are going to be, like Phil Danault. Like we talked about this with Oliver Kapanen. Like, do we think he could be a second line center? We drew parallels to the type of second line center Phil Danault was. So to me, I think if those guys, they can learn from Nick Suzuki. But if you can learn from Nick Suzuki and Phil Danault, I think the Canadiens will be better for it. And he's a fit in the environment. He's a fit in the locker room. He's a fit all over. I mean, he's a good dude. So
maybe he gets Brendan Gallagher going a little bit offensively, right? The Danault, Tatar, and Gallagher at one time were a pretty efficient line, both ends of the ice. So from that standpoint, maybe you get something out of him there. So.
Hey, Veleno wears number 90. So, if you want to recreate it, 24, 11, 90. I mean, it could be done.
It could be done. You never know. I'm not banking on that, but it could be done. Look, they got a lot more professional as well. I know they're the youngest team in the NHL. But, Nick Suzuki's on a second contract. Cole Caulfield has played in the Stanley Cup final. Brendan Gallagher has been in the league for a minute. So has Anderson. So has Evans. I get it. The numbers that have him skewed is the Demidov and the Kapanen and not bringing up all the guys from Laval. But, Philip Danault can't hurt you for a minute in that locker room. So, all in all, second-round pick. I just want to see a little bit more from that bottom six, and hopefully Phil Danault can provide a little bit of a spark for them.
Yeah, and I think you've seen the Canes, again, we talked about it, but 3 out of 4, and particularly on Saturday night, I mean, you look at the goals and who they came from. I mean, Anderson has 2. That's bottom 6 for me. Owen Beck finally got 1. That's another, bottom 6 for me. So, I mean, look, I know on Sunday night it was more the second line that carried the load, but, there's going to be nights, and they've been really good for the most part. I still think Nick Suzuki's banged up, and he's blocking shots at the ends of games and stuff like that. So, but to me, I mean, the top line at some point, I mean, they're going to cool off. They were going to cool off. It was inevitable. But if this team, which is so close to the top of the division, don't tell me about the bottom of the division. This is a team that's lost a lot of guys. We've talked about it, Simon. They're near the top of the division. They pick up 3 or 4 points on the weekend. And, you see the difference when the bottom 6 contributes and when the blue line contributes. Like, it's a very different team that goes out there and they get results. They collect points.
Yeah, and look, you no matter even with the Anderson or Evans or Gallagher guys that I know Anderson got a pair there, but even with their woes to find goals, the compete level is still there. So I think that's a very big deal. And the one thing, when the Canadiens go south a little bit, sometimes usually against better competition, you go to social media or you listen to 690 or whatever, you'll hear the complaint about how lost they are in their own end and they can't defend. That's another thing, Phil Danault, because once you get a center out there that can defend, it's no different than having a middle linebacker on a football field. Everybody knows where they got to go, and they take their cues from him, allows them to be a little bit better defensively as well, because I don't think that there's enough the incredible trust between that bench and the goaltending. Fowler had his shutout on Saturday. That was very good. I didn't think Dovish was terrible on Sunday night at all. I thought he was good. So maybe they've turned the corner with their goaltending, but there's still an element that they can definitely clean up is defending from the blue line in, and Phil Danault will help there as well.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. I think there's still offense there. I mean, if you go back and you look at the Kings had the Oilers on the ropes in the playoffs last year. Danault was over a point a game in the playoffs. I'm not saying he's a point a game player. That's not where I'm going. But I mean, the offense to his degree was there just a few months ago. So to me, I don't think his offensive game falls off a cliff. I don't think he's going to score 27, Simon. I don't think we're going back to that. He's only done that once. And I don't even know if we're going to like 45 points, but I do think that there's more offense there. And look, we'll see. There's a year and a half left. Then, even if he's dried up and done, and he's more of a fourth line center now, it just kind of is what it is. They've got a bunch of money coming off the books anyway. The cap is going up, so they'll be fine from that respect. And if it doesn't work, you cut bait at the end of next season, and you move on. But to me, I think the smarts don't necessarily go away, and he was never fast. So to me, I mean, you'll get a penalty killer. You'll get a guy responsible in his own end. I don't see this being a catastrophe from a cap standpoint. And like I said, Laine's coming off the books, Gallagher's coming off the books, Anderson's coming off the books, and maybe some of those guys come back, but sure as heck is not going to be on the same contract. So you have money freed up and the cap is going up. So that's really why I'm not worried. In the center market, I mean, we saw what the reported asking prices were for Kadri and O'Reilly, and look, if Phil Danault was having a Ford on pace for a 40-something point season, Simon, the price would have been way higher than what it was.
Yeah, for sure. My only concern, I don't think it's a concern, but you traded Emil Heineman and 2 first-round picks for Noah Dobson, a deal that I would still make today. You traded Logan Mailloux for Zachary Bolduc, a trade that I would still make today. And now you part ways with another second-round pick. Joey, if that mysterious, behind the curtain second-line center is there somewhere, I'm just wondering, when it comes to competing against other teams, do the Canadiens still have enough? Now, I guess you have your own first-round pick, but it's not right away. I want to start tossing in first-round picks in there, right? But, you gave up the 2 first-round picks. You gave up Emil Heineman, who's a quality hockey player, Logan Mailloux, who is a former first-round pick. How he plays in the NHL, only time will tell. Another second-round pick here. So if they get into the Crosby sweepstakes, if they get into the Nazem Kadri sweepstakes, if they get into the O'Reilly sweepstakes, do they have the pieces to be in play against other teams that will be competing?
I just don't know. I don't know.
It's going to be guys like
pay those.
It's going to be popular names, though, Joy. It's going to be Reinbacher. It's going to be, if Phil Danault doesn't have much left offensively, but he has something left defensively, and he went for a second, Kadri and the crown jewel of this all, Sidney Crosby is going to go for a lot more. So do they still have the assets in play to go and get that, if they want to upgrade that second line center position or they want to get a big name, do they still have those assets in place?
I think so, but it's going to hurt. Like it's going to hurt. And whether you had the assets or not, I think it was going to hurt anyway. You know what I mean? Wow. Like you make that move. Simon, we brought it up a couple weeks ago. I think that we said, and it wasn't even us making up the price. It was the reported price was, for Ryan O'Reilly was a first and a top prospect, an A-level prospect, and we threw it out there. And we didn't even put the Canadiens' best prospect. We threw Michael Hage and a first. And Michael Hage, he's probably going to be on Team Canada for the World Juniors. But people freaked out on us. Like, oh, you guys are just into clickbait. No, like this is the reported asking price. Like, oh, why would they do that? Well,
what do people do it? What do people think that a point-a-game player, best player of his generation, is going to go for?
Well, at the time we said O'Reilly, but I think Crosby, you're going to pay. You're going to pay through the teeth. I think he will pay through the teeth
because there'll be a bidding war.
And shout out to Crosby, man. Again, like Kane score, and then Crosby gets one back, and then sets up another one. It's like I was fully expecting. You remember the Crosby rookie year, the backhand shootout goal against Theodore.
Yeah,
I was fully expecting him to do that to Dobesh. Good on Dobesh for hanging in there, but I was fully expecting him to do that to Dobesh. But I mean, you see Crosby. I mean, man, the guy can still play. Shout out to him. Moves past Mario Lemieux for 8th all time. What is it? 17-24 now points. I mean, he's ridiculous. If the Canadiens can pull it off, for what it's worth, I was watching on RDS. On Sunday, and a friend of Crosby's, Max Talbot, was on the intermission with Bruno Gervais, and Max Talbot was saying, like, look, I just don't see it. I don't see them moving him at all. He said, and whether Talbot and Crosby talk about it or not, I don't know. But he did say, like, I think he means too much of the Penguins, and I don't think they'll do it. I don't know. Personally, Simon, like, it's easy for me to say because it's not my job on the line. But if I'm Kyle Dubas, like, do I really want to be that guy? Like, do I want to be the guy who's going to pull the trigger on moving Sidney Crosby elsewhere? I mean, if Sidney Crosby makes it clear that he wants to go somewhere else, that's a bit of a different story. But I don't know. I have a really hard time seeing the Penguins make this move. Like, even this year, next year, he's
still going to play meaningful hockey this year. He played meaningful hockey in February. It was called Four Nations. So his fix of hockey adrenaline and the most meaningful of games, he's going to get that at the Olympics. Now, maybe if there was no Olympics, he'd be like, oh, man, another 82-game season and no playoffs. I'm just driving me nuts here. I want to be up there with Mario and, probably, ahead of Mario one day, ahead of Jagger, and all the great Penguins players. But if he's quenching his thirst with the most, I'm not going to say the most meaningful.
I don't think he's like that. I don't think he's like that.
But he's getting games that matter, that really, really matter. He gets to be a leader of a captain of a all-world team, a team that is ultra talented. So maybe from that standpoint, he's content with having another, fail when it comes to a Penguins regular season if he's going out there and winning 4 nations and bringing home gold medals. So I don't know. It's tough.
We'll see if they have the armor left. We have just a couple seconds left here, Simon. Maybe a little more than a couple seconds. But I just wanted to, we talked a little bit about Kapanen, but again, I thought Kapanen, Demidov, and Slavkovsky were obviously the Canadiens' best line. They were terrific. They created offense. Kapanen has if I would have told you Kapanen has 11 goals going into the holiday break, I know. And there's a game left. But I know that Demidov is there and he's driving the line. We get all of that. I have no problem with that. But Slavkovsky has been terrific. I think it's like 13 points in 16 or 17 games now, 16, 17. And Kapanen's just, plugging along and finishing, putting the puck into open nets or, putting the puck in the back of the net. And credit to him. He's got 11 goals already. We're not even at the midway point of the season. But that line's playing well. And if they can continue to play well, the Suzuki Caulfield line, pick up the scoring to not even where it was before, but just close to there. Canadians might be cooking with gas here if they start getting the saves like they have over the last week and a half.
The Slavkovsky pass to Demidov for the second goal was. I don't think he tries that. If he's on, you know what I mean? Like the fact that he's had this little bit of growth. I'm not the third wheel behind Suzuki and Caulfield. I'm on this line. Like you said, Demidov drives the offense, but they look for Slavkovsky more to be the just F1 in on the forecheck. Like he's probably never been more creative, or at least trying to make creative plays more so in the last 3 weeks than he has in the tenure he's been with the Canadiens and on that top line. So it's humming. And Joe, we spoke about the second line center. Martin St. Louis listens to this podcast or Ken Hughes. They might hit the comment box like, hey, bros, we got our second line center. Because you're right, 11 goals. The guy hovers, if he goes to 55, 60 points, you look around the National Hockey League, what do second line centers get? Especially second line.
55, 60, though. He's not hitting 60 points.
Well, you don't know, but again, how many points are left for you as a second line center when your first line center is a point a game player?
Right.
There's X amount of points, there's X amount of goals that can go around, right? If your top guy's swallowing up over 82 points, hockey says there's not many left. So if you can get to a certain number, maybe the Canadiens have absolutely no need to shop for a second line center. They're content with what they have here.
Yeah, that's it's a fair point. I think ideally the upgrade, but yeah, I think Kapanen at 11 goals, I had the under. I'm not going to lie to you. Going into this point of the season, I had the under there. So credit to him, being a nice fit on that line for most of this season. All right, Simon. Before we go, I just want to mention shout out to Clark Cafe, one of our sponsors here on the Sports Dép Podcast. That was there. Today's Monday. Was there on Saturday morning, Friday morning.
I was there on Saturday morning.
Oh, thanks. I was there on Friday morning, and I went to pick up a couple of croissants. Mm-hmm. I got or cornettos they call them. One with the hazelnut, the Nutella filling, and then one with the cream filling, the custard, which my wife is a fan of. Got 2 lattes. And you know what I did? My 2-year-old, James, my 2-year-old, he enjoys milk. So I got him a little espresso cup filled with steamed milk. Brought it home. He was freaking in a Clark Cafe cup, the one on Sheer. So just so you know, holiday schedule is out. You can find it on their Instagram page. They're closed on the 24th and 25th. But they're open. They're open the other days of this week, and I think it's the same situation going next week on the 31st and 1st. But they're there. They're rocking and rolling. They're jamming. It's a great coffee, great sandwich. A little early in the morning for me to get sandwiches, so I didn't have a sandwich this time around. But a couple of cornettos, Simon, and a couple lattes and some steamed milk. Was the way to go at Clark Cafe. 2 locations, one on Sheer, one in Kirkland.
One wonderful way to start the day. Absolutely.
It's a terrific way to start the day. You know what else is a terrific way to start the day, Simon? listening to the Sports Dép Podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page. If you want to watch, you can also listen to us. You can find us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Producer Sam uploads these things very early in the morning. So no matter where you're going, if it's early in the morning, late at night, you can find the Sports Dép Podcast. Have a great rest of your day or night whenever you're listening to this, everybody. Tsalikis, we'll talk tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. We'll talk tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. And we'll be back on the Sports Dép Podcast tomorrow.